Just a quick review of the Canon 5D Mark I. I've owned this camera for 12 years and been to a lot of weddings and used it day in, day out, and it's, in my opinion, and you'll see a lot of opinions online about these different cameras, is one of the best cameras ever made. I have tried other cameras, 5D Mark II, Mark III, haven't tried the Mark IV yet, but I love 5Ds, and I keep coming back to the 5D Mark I. And the 5D Mark I is completely unique because the file is actually not as true to life as it should be. Now, if you put a 5D Mark III file against a 5D Mark I, not talking about resolution, forget about all that, just looking at how real it is, the 5D Mark I will actually not look as real. What I mean is it's a shift from reality. It's not true to life greens. I'm not saying it's one of the most accurate cameras, but what I am saying is it's probably the best portrait camera ever made if you like the colours and you like the images that come out of it. And the only way you're going to know is by trying it. Last year I tried the Fuji cameras and they have a similar sort of look. People call it film-like quality, which is fair enough. And the Canon 5D Mark I has this look that is very neutral and very film-like. So I use it in neutral mode. It's in neutral setting, not standard, and that gives me a Kodachrome 25 sort of look. Kodachrome was the old slide film that we all loved, and Kodachrome 64, and it gives me that look. And my whole business is based around just that. I've shot over 270 weddings. I gave up counting a long time ago, but I've never shifted it from this style. I've literally, my whole style is based on this camera body in neutral, and around very basic settings. I haven't changed anything because every couple that books me wants to book me from my portfolio. My portfolio is this style, so I haven't changed. So getting onto the 5D, let's have a look at it and see what we think. It's got a 70-200 f4 on it. Used that lens extensively. There's another little video you should see near this one. Brilliant lens. Used the 24-105 on it. Mark I balances brilliantly, very good. Now, if you're looking at this and it's 2017, you'll think, well, do I really want a screen that small on the back of my camera? It's not an issue for me because most of the images I'm not looking at the screen. I'm working very quickly. I might be checking the histogram to see if I've got the exposure right, but the screen, to be honest with you, is irrelevant. If I'm looking through the viewfinder and I see the image, the only thing I'm really doing is just saying that's the image I want. I don't really need to review it on the back for 3 hours to see whether it was okay because I've just taken it. I know that sounds a bit sort of matter of fact, but at the end of the day, we never used to have screens. And screens are a bit of a pain, to be honest with you, because you spend most of your time checking your work when you should be taking the next photo. So the screen is not a problem for me. If it is a problem for you and you love looking at your images on the screen, the 5D Mark II, Mark III screen's amazing. 5D Mark I's probably not for you. Again, when you look at menus, if you enjoy scrolling through menus for the rest of your life, don't bother buying a 5D Mark I or the old 1DS's because there isn't anything in there. I love the fact there is nothing in there. We don't need menus that go on forever. We just need basic settings to come back with an image. So again, if you like the ultimate control of a camera using menus and tilt screens, the 5D Mark I is not for you. The 5D Mark I is literally like a basic black box where you release the shutter at exactly the moment that you'd like to, come back with the image, go straight on the card, and you fiddle around with it later on. This is what photography was like 12 years ago, and I love it, to be honest with you. There's a new Leica out with no screen on. That would be the ideal camera for me. But everybody's different, and I'm just giving you an overview so you don't buy a 5D Mark I and think, why did that Richard Barley tell me to buy this? The reason I love this camera is because it is so simple. The only thing I wish they'd have done, Canon, originally, and they still haven't managed to achieve it on the Pro cameras, and well, they have on the 1DX, I think, but we just need a big button that says ISO, and we just need a nice big one on the top. Because this button says drive and ISO, you can get confused, hit that button, scroll your back wheel or your top wheel, and you're actually changing the drive mode and not the ISO. So that's driven me mad at weddings for 12 years, but unfortunately the 5D Mark II and the 5D Mark III seem to have gone that way as well. Looking at the D500, which is a Nikon camera, go and have a look at that one. They've suddenly decided to put a nice big ISO button on. I'm mad about the ISO button because at the end of the day, I'm jumping in and out of churches and the lighting changes in massive jumps. Some people are using auto ISO. Canon 5D Mark I does not have auto ISO. So another reason that you might not want to buy it if you like using manual mode and putting your camera on auto ISO, it's not going to do that. This is very good if you're a manual photographer, which I am. I haven't switched to AV, TV ever. I've got no need to, so I use it purely manually. So screen size might put you off. Not very much in the menus at all. The ISO button you can't really get away from at the moment, unless you go, I think the 1DX is better for that sort of thing, or have a look at the 1DS's, but at the end of the day, this is a very, very basic camera. I've always used the grip, because for portraits and anything vertical, obviously, it is very good. And very quick to move from landscape to portrait very quickly. It's a very quick camera to use, and the thing I missed, I like the Fuji system. I'm sure they'll get it right one day. I don't think they've got it right yet, and we're in 2017. I think they're just moving over into getting it right. But what you find with these old SLRs is they're so basic, you're literally focusing in with the center point, recomposing, taking the photo, moving, and it's quite a rhythm. I'm finding a lot of the mirrorless cameras are actually getting in the way of the photo because A, you've got blackout time, which is too long. So in other words, as you take the photo, the screen blacks out for too long and something's happened, or you've moved, or the bride's run at you down the aisle, and before you know it, they're literally running over you. So to me, the mirrorless systems, as fast as they do frames per second, the actual refresh rate and the viewfinders, I've abandoned them. Saying that, I've got a mirrorless camera I'm doing this video on, which is a Samsung, which, unfortunately Samsung have pulled out of the UK, but they're absolutely brilliant. Moving around camera makes now should be on the 5D Mark I, but just showing you, for 12 years I have tried other cameras. I've still kept the 5D Mark I, but I've gone to weddings with Fujis, Samsungs. I'm, literally sort of doing mini reviews for myself, seeing what's out there, but nothing has ever beaten this 5D Mark I as a camera to go to a wedding and come back with a wedding. There is very little I can say I don't like about it. Let's see if we can just show you something on the... You've got a basic histogram. That's all you need, just to see what your exposure's doing. It's less than less. Less is more with cameras, in my opinion. If you like very simple cameras with amazing colour and neutral images, then the 5D is well worth looking at. And the bonus to the 5D Mark I, above all else, is it's only people that have used it in the past that appreciate how good the file is, and so it's been ignored on the second-hand market. Generally, you can get one for £200. You might even get it for less. I mean, before you know it, there'll be £100 for a professional full-frame body. So I'm just about to buy another one. Everyone else is buying 5D Mark IVs. I'm going to be buying another 5D Mark I. I might even buy two because they're that good. If you do need a 5D Mark I, get in touch with me. www.richardbarley.co.uk is the website. And just send me a contact form over. And if you're after 5D Mark Is, I'm going to be actually collecting some good ones from now on, and selling them. So see what you think. Top plate, if this Samsung can zoom in on that, very good, aren't they? Amazing technology. I do like Samsung. Top plate, as I say, the ISO button could be improved. You've got a tiny little light at night. What's to say? You've got a full frame sensor. An extremely big mirror, which is not too noisy. I mean, the 5D Mark IV, or the 5D S and the R, they've got a bit more, they've redesigned it, and so it's not as noisy. If you said one thing, I suppose it is still a bit noisy for me. I was using the electronic shutter on the Fuji last year, and obviously there was silent, so yeah, and it has got some noise there. Let's see if we can just do a frame. So there is some noise. It's a camera, it makes a bit of noise. There's no way getting away from that. There's no silent shutter. So as you look towards the newer cameras, you've got the silent shutter, which slows that. Wow, it's a dampening. The 6D, I'm quite amazed with. If I can get hold of one, that's becoming, well, it's getting to the value where I think it's worth buying the 6D now. It's still a favourite camera of mine, the 6D. I haven't used it a lot, but when I have used it, I think it's a brilliant camera. If it's 6D pricing at the moment, you're talking 850, 2017, UK, second hand, and this body you're talking 200. So you can buy three, let's say three 5D Mark Is for the price of one 6D body. So you've got a full camera professional setup with your bodies, with backup for, you know, very little really. Hope that helps. I know I haven't gone into the technical specs. There's tons of videos on the 5D Mark I, but not many people actually keep them forever because they move on. Mark II, Mark III, standard photography thing. Keep buying cameras, keep buying them. I say keep your lenses and your bodies. If they work and the file's great and your customers like it or your friends like it, you like it, just keep it. Why do people keep changing cameras? People think they're getting better. There you go, knock the tripod again. They're getting better from a realism point of view. I can tell you that. If you go through the 5D range, I know the cameras very well. If you were to look at realism, colours, the greens, blues, definitely they're improving. But if you like the look of a file out of a camera, and you've built a style on that, which I've done, then keep it. The 5D2 Mark file, to give you an idea, we had it next to the 5D Mark I. One shoulder had the 5D Mark II, the other side 5D Mark I, and we sold the 5D Mark II within 3 or 4 weddings because we couldn't colour match them together. Completely different colour palette in my opinion. Don't know what they did with it. And then when they came back with the 5D Mark III, actually the files are closer to the 5D Mark I, they're more of a pastel quality. They sorted the colour out straight out the camera. You know, you're going to get opinions on this, and you know, leave your opinions below, please. I'd love to hear what you're saying. But at the end of the day, these cameras are not changing as much as we think. That's all I can say. ISO performance, 3200 ISO on a 5D Mark 1 compared to 3200 and a 5D Mark 2. Apparently we had massive leaps. Well, I can tell you I've literally edited these files to death. You had one stop, if you were lucky, difference, which, you know, may be worth doing. But noise is not just about ISO. There's a lot more going on with noise, and you need to study photography to understand why your files are probably noisy. And the Canon file is different to the Nikon. You've got to look at what they're doing with the sensors. The Sony sensor in the Nikon is different to this Canon one. You've got to expose for the highlights with the Canon. So exposing the image is very important. You've got to do that right to make the most of the 5D Mark 1. If not, you will not shoot over 1600 ISO because you'll have very bad files. So I can shoot it at 3200 ISO because obviously I've been doing it a long time and I understand the file. And half the problem is people are getting the cameras, shooting it, doing what they want with it, and they're not actually getting the most out of the file. They're moving on to the next camera very quickly, and then they're saying this new camera is much better ISO. Well, I can tell you for a fact the only leap was between the 5D Mark 1 and the 5D Mark 3, and I sold the 5D Mark 3. Not that I didn't love it, I did. It was just the fact for, I think at the time, £2,200 I could get, well, I think it was 8 or 9 5D Mark 1s. So you've got to look at what you're getting for your money, and there is not a massive leap. And this is a problem Canon have actually got, in my opinion, is they were so early on the technology that they actually produced amazing cameras very early. And now everyone else is trying to catch up with them, and they're sort of stuck in this world of how do we go forward. And so they've kept the SLRs. They're just about moving into the mirrorless system, but it's because they produced such good equipment a long time ago. The lens you're looking at on there is 12 years ago again. This is 12 years ago, and this equipment stands up against the best that Nikon are throwing out, in my opinion. So yeah, I love Nikon as well. I love them all. They're all very good. Olympus. I'll try and look at some other cameras, but at the end of the day, if you want a very good quality camera, great value for money, the 5D Mark 1 is the one to go for. Send me an email, richardbarley.co.uk is the website. I've got a training website which is richardbarleyphotography.com. That's richardbarleyphotography.com. Yeah, so go and buy one, and a 70-200 f4 and a 24-105, and you'll be happy. Thanks a lot. I hope that helps.